I want you to think about this. You must have heard a sermon somewhere and it says, give your offerings to the church and God will make you fabulously wealthy. He pours open the windows of heaven. Greed is good and giving to God is just the method. Now, Neil, come on, help us.
Yeah, well, I've heard messages like that too, and it makes me cringe. There's a lot of cringe factor in that, I tell you. But, you know, if you go to the Ten Commandments, the command simply says this: you shall not covet your neighbour's house, you shall not covet your neighbour's wife, nor his maidservant, nor his female servant, nor anything they have. Okay, so in the context, it's about, are you content with the stuff that you have? Or are you trying to rip someone else off so you can take from them? And in a sense, it's a different kind of spin on stealing, if you like. But you're stealing from someone else, taking advantage of them, taking power over them. And really, Jesus gives us the greatest example of being the opposite of that, where you can have desire. His desire was to come and to serve people. And so out of that godly desire, we get all sorts of wonderful things in our world.
Yeah, I guess it's quite simple, really, when you think about it too. I mean, a young man, just thinking off the top of my head, if he doesn't desire a woman, will he ever get married?
No, not at all.
Of course not. So, but once he's married, he's not supposed to look over the fence.
That's right, because then that second look leads to destruction and unhappiness and all sorts of things.
So here comes a nuts and bolts question then. In a flawed world, Ben, how on earth can you be content with what you've got?
I think you can be content with what you've got and still want other things. So you can still have goals and ambitions in life, but
your goals seeking for another woman don't exist anymore, do they? You're married.
Well, it's important to keep in control of my thought life, I guess.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so, yeah, take control of your life and focus on what you want to have, but at the same time be grateful for what you do have. And so, like, sometimes we kind of always be moaning, oh, I've got to mow the lawn. But a happier and better attitude is, thanks that I've got a lawn to mow. You know, some people don't have a place to live, or we could be groaning about doing the dishes, but we could be saying, thanks that I've got food to eat. And so, you know, thankfulness is kind of the opposite of coveting in a bad way. And thankfulness is probably, it's been called the most positive human attitude that you can have. And a person who's thankful is a happy person. You know, they're not foolish people, they're happy, successful people. So we can be thankful and still target for something else in life.
I guess you could say 2,000 years ago, the one who demonstrated thankfulness and contentment was Jesus Christ. Now, people have said, at Easter time, how can you trust the story? I want to take you to the Middle East, to the site of the world's oldest Holy Bible. Now, the monastery of St. Catherine's has been around for about 1,500 years. In fact, it's here at this monastery that they have kept one of the oldest recorded copies of the Holy Bible. That's the Old Testament and the New Testament. Found here in this particular monastery was the Codex Sinaiticus. Why did they call it Codex Sinaiticus? Well, it's the Codex, which is the book. Sinaiticus, well, we're here in the Sinai Desert at the base of Mount Sinai. That's where this monastery is found. And so inside the monastery, they found one of the oldest versions of the Holy Scriptures, including the New Testament. What does this tell us today? When they compare the modern Bibles to the ones found so long ago, 1,500 years, found in this monastery, to be quite frank, the differences are so small that you can trust the Bible you hold in your hands today, because it's pretty well exactly the same as it's been for thousands of years. God has kept his word safe, so that anybody who wants to read it today can be assured that what they're reading is indeed the Word of God. And so, Sarah Jane, if you can trust the story of Jesus, what is the story of Jesus in 30 seconds?
In 30 seconds, Jesus is the Son of God that was sent to earth for us to give, that he was called to serve. And there's over 20,000 different manuscripts that support the story. It's the truth. I mean, 20,000 can't be wrong.
Okay, so there's plenty of evidence.
There's plenty of evidence that he came to this earth to serve and to give.
Okay, so it's Easter time, and the story of Jesus Christ is simply this: the billionaire, the trillionaire who owned the entire universe, had the right to everything, gave it all away to live a life of unselfishness so that we could have life beyond death.